Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, class. As you all know that we were on the chapter of this story of silk, we have covered half of the chapter. Now we are going to cover the remaining one. Let us start from the second para of page 82. One afternoon, the empress sat under a mulberry bush in her garden, lost in her thoughts about her village. She slowly sipped hot water from a cup, staring up at the blue sky. The girl remembered the birds that flew over her village. Then, sighing softly to herself, she picked up her cup to take another sip. But what was that? What happened? As you can see in the image as well, a queen, which we are calling the empress, she's sitting under a tree and taking a wonderful coffee. She was quite busy in her thoughts and taking a sip of her coffee again and again. But suddenly, there's something went into her coffee. What was that? The last para. A cocoon from the mulberry bush had dropped into the hot water. Her first thought was to throw away the water and the cocoon. But then she took a closer look and she saw some threads peeping out from the cocoon. What had happened? There was something went into her cup. What was that? That was cocoon. She thought that she has to throw the water and the with the cocoon away. But when she thought, when she saw that there's something thread like a structure in that, she didn't throw that. Where had they come from? She pulled the threads. They were thin, strong, and shiny. She kept pulling, and a long line of thread came out. Now, the Empress had a great idea. She would take the thread from many cocoons and weave soft, strong cloth from it. What had happened? She started to pull the thread. Again and again, she was kept on pulling, pulling, pulling. That was a long thread. That became a long thread, which was very strong and shiny as well. It looks wonderful. Then she got an idea in her mind. She thought that she will collect more cocoons and she will collect the threads from that, and she will make the cloth from that threads. She called her servants and everyone got to work. They took cocoons of the mulberry tree, dropped them in hot water, and removed the thread. They gathered a fair amount of yarn. Then the queen ordered a special weaving machine and wove the first piece of cloth using this new thread. This was how silk, the best and brightest form of cloth, was weaved. You see, then she called her all servants and she assigned them different works. They all got busy in their works and they collect the cocoons from the mulberry bush, from the mulberry tree. They put them into the hot water and they collect the threads from that. After collecting so many threads, they started to make the clothes from that. This was how silk, the best and brightest form of cloth, was weaved. The manufacture of silk spread throughout China. It was a cloth that only royalty could wear and was much in demand in land as far away as Rome. The route along which silk was traded between China and Europe through Asia was called the Silk Route. Now that the Chinese had learned how to make silk cloth, they did not want to share this knowledge with anyone in the world. What had happened then? The silk started to make, the clothes from the silk fabric started to make. And only the China was the one at that time who was making the silk clothes. And at that time, only the royal peoples could wear that cloth because it was so expensive and it was so unique at that time because no one would easily be available to wear that cloth, to buy that cloth. The route in which it was being made, that was called China and the Europe, between the China and the Europe. That's why that route was started to call the Silk Route. Chinese didn't want their silk fabric to get common. That's why they started to hide the reality, hide the reason, hide the idea of the silk being made. For many years, all members of the Chinese royal family were sworn never to reveal the secret to anyone. When princesses got married and went away to far lands, they were not allowed to tell anyone in their new home how silk was made. You know, they had made a strict rule that no one would tell anyone the reality of the silk fabric, that how it is made. No one would release this knowledge to anyone. The princesses of that time who were getting married to another city, another country, and they went from their China to another homes, to another their new homes, they were asked not to tell anyone that how the silk was made. The last panel. Many, many years later, when a clever princess was leaving her house on getting married, as was the custom, her bags were searched carefully to check that she did not carry anything that would help her make silk. The princess had been weaving silk from a young age and wanted to continue to do so wherever she went. She had hidden the cocoons in her long, elaborate hairdo. No one thought of looking there. When she went to her husband's house, she took out these cocoons from her hair and started gathering silk thread. In this way, the legend goes, knowledge of how to make silk left China. You see, at the end, what happened? There was a princess who was quite clever. She wanted to wear the cocoons in her next life as well, in her husband's home as well. So what she had planned, she took some cocoons in her hair too, and where there no one look on that. Finally, when she went into her husband's home, she started to collect the threads of silk from the cocoons, and she started to make the silk fabric. In that way, everybody got to know that how the silk is made, and then the China would not be able to keep that secret anymore.